Let's give a great big agape welcome to Edwene Gaines.
I am so happy to be here. The first thing I want to do, though, before we get started. Oh, thank you. I love you, too. The first thing I would like to do is give our music program, these wonderful musicians, our highest Alabama compliment. I don't know if they're ready for this, but what we would say in Alabama is, "This morning, sugar, you about blew my dress up." Woo. Good stuff. Good stuff. My name is Edwene Gaines, and what I want you to know about me is that I am a woman of power. And I'm a woman of passion, and I care deeply about you and me and all of our brothers and sisters on planet Earth, and it is my full intention to make a difference on this planet. In 1976, I made a commitment to the Lord of my being, the goddess within me, that I would be 100% responsible for the transformation of the abundance consciousness of planet Earth. I travel around the world now, except for this past year, which has been a very interesting year. I travel around the world now about 250 days a year, enrolling other folks in this powerful commitment with me to transform the abundance consciousness of planet Earth. Now, honestly, I don't have the foggiest notion how to do this. But one of my teachers told me that all we have to do is set our intention, make a 100% commitment to any intention, and all the hosts of heaven, all the helpers, visible and invisible, will come forth to support us in bringing forth our part of that vision. You know, the song was reminding me again that nothing is impossible to you. Anything that you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. And it's time to remind ourselves of that every single day, every moment of every day. If you will learn to give gratitude, to give appreciation for everything that you have, everything that you see, all the kindnesses that you receive, if you will remember to give gratitude, to tell people that you appreciate them, your life will be changed in ways that you cannot yet imagine. Now, I focus on teaching prosperity, and a lot of people hear that word prosperity and they immediately think money. And yes, it does include money, but there's, as Reverend Lee said, there's a whole lot more than just money in prosperity. For me, prosperity is a vitally alive, healthy body for this God being that we are to express through. Prosperity is relationships that are joyous and satisfying and intimate and honest and nurturing and that work all the time. Prosperity is work that we love so much. It's not work, it's play. And prosperity is indeed all the money you can spend. So if that would work for you, would you give me an old-fashioned Texas amen, sister? Amen, sister. Good work, good work. So just to tell you just a moment about this year, in April I broke my arm. I've been at the chiropractor's office, which was very handy because there were x-ray machines right there. And so my doctor said we're going to see if it will, join together, which it did not. So in November, I had surgery. They took some bone out of my hip and put it in my right arm. And I would appreciate it if you shake my right hand that you do so carefully. Would you do that, please? Yeah. And I'll tell you what I learned in this past year, I don't think I could have learned any other way. And the lesson for me, the major lesson, there were many, but the major lesson was for gratitude. I never in my life imagined that there were so many loving people that came out of the woodwork to help me, to assist me, to drive me, to get groceries, to make me soup. It was just an amazing process. And as you can see, I'm going to rehab. I'm doing really well with this right arm. But I'm not supposed to lift anything heavier than a coffee cup. So if you'll help me remember that. I'm in rehab and everything's going well. So back to prosperity. So we're looking at prosperity as this really amazing thing that includes all those issues that make our lives joyous and happy and satisfying and productive. Along my pathway, I need to tell you that when I started this study of prosperity and when I made my commitment in 1976, I was a single parent living in a one-bedroom apartment with my daughter. We slept in the same bed. There were many days that we did not have food in the house. We lived off peanut butter crackers, peanut butter crackers for weeks at a time. And I was working 2 jobs. I did not get any child support. And it was very difficult for us to make it. I can remember searching in the sofa for pennies to send to my school for my daughter's lunch money. It was really a pretty pathetic story. And I'm not a dumb person. I have all sorts of impressive-looking pieces of paper that say I know an awful lot about some very unimportant stuff. And I couldn't make it. So one of my colleagues at work, had given me a little book on prosperity written by Charles Fillmore. And I was reading that book, and there was a lot of it I didn't understand, But I came across a passage that said essentially this. This is not a direct quote, but what I got was the sentence said, if just one person would live and teach these spiritual principles of prosperity, that one person would lift the consciousness of all humankind. Well, I looked around at my life and I thought, I don't have anything better to do with my life. I'll be that person. And amazing things began to happen in my life. I have studied prosperity now for almost 45 years. Now, that's the way it started. So let me give you a progress report of where I am today. I have a beautiful 30-acre retreat center in the foothills of the Appalachians in North Alabama, completely paid for, no debt. I have a beautiful luxury car that I paid cash for. I travel first class. I have a full-time staff of 4 people, part-time staff of 7 people. And since April, I've only done 2 workshops. That's all the work I've done since last April. And I have not had to take any money out of savings to live. God is my source. Say it with me. God is my source. And God provides for me abundantly all the time, no matter what I do or what I don't do. Can you hold that in thought? Do you believe your job is your source? Do you believe your spouse is your source? Do you believe your Visa card or MasterCard or American Express is your source? I'm asking you today to change your mind. And the way that I found to change my mind was to come into alignment with 4 spiritual laws. That's the title of my book, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. If you get it today, I'd love to sign it. I know the church has several in the back that they're selling, and I would love to put a little blessing on it for you if you decide to get it. Also have it in audio as well. So, let's get right down to brass tacks. Spiritual law number 1. Now, breathe deeply and do not throw tomatoes at me, all right? We're required by spiritual law to acknowledge that we know that God is my source. Say it again. God is my source. Now, that's an easy thing for us to say, but the law requires an action. And that action is, in order for me to acknowledge that I know God is my source, I'm required to return 1/10 of all I've received back to that person, place, or institution where I have received my spiritual food. Now, please hear that. I'm not talking about giving to charity. That's a wonderful thing to do, and I do lots of it, but that's over and above the tithe. The first tenth is sacred. It is holy. It belongs back where you've been fed spiritually. 1/10 of all that we've received. Now, for a lot of people, that brings up a lot of fear. And that fear-based feeling is because they're deeply within us. There's a feeling or a thought that's going to create lack in us if we give that back to God. We have a belief in lack. And so one of the things that tithing does for us is it shifts our belief slowly, sometimes, and rapidly other times, to the notion that there is more than enough to go around for all of us. Do you know that? There's enough fruit that falls off the trees and rots every day to feed this planet thousands of times over. Now, we're working on distribution, but it's already here. God has already provided. In order to get our portion, our share, we start with acknowledging that God is our source by returning 1/10 of all we receive back where we received our spiritual food. And I sometimes get the comment from people, but I love to give to charities. It makes me feel so good. It does me too. I love to give to charities. But the first tenth is symbolically, strategically important along the spiritual pathway because it helps us to see where we're being fed spiritually. Now, what is spiritual food? Spiritual food is that which causes us to remember who we are. It wakes us up and shakes us up and gets us back on our spiritual pathway. And if you're fed through this ministry, spiritual food, and I know you are if you're breathing, your tithe belongs here. I was fed just this morning in that short message from Reverend Lee talking about his silent retreat. It was a powerful thing to hear. So what happens is it causes you to remember, to notice, to pay attention. Powerful thing. And the promise is, if you're a Bible student, you'll recognize Malachi 3:10. It says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. Prove me now, and I will open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there is not room enough to receive it." Now, that has been my experience. But honestly and transparently, it did not happen overnight. It happened for me little by little. It doesn't have to happen little by little for you, but it causes my faith to grow, my reliance upon God to expand. Now, I also get the comment that, as I mentioned earlier, that charities are important and we need to support them. Yes, we do. Pardon me. Some of the mystics suggest that if we give our tithe to need, we're creating need in our own lives. And I bet you know somebody who is so generous they would give you the shirt off their back, and yet they live in poverty. It's because they don't understand the significance of the first tenth. It must go where we're fed spiritually. Now, we'll have time to discuss this fully this afternoon, get all the questions answered. Spiritual law number 2, deep breath. We're required by spiritual principle to forgive everyone all the time, especially ourselves. Now, tell me the truth. How many of you have a feeling that you have some forgiveness work to do and it's time to do it? Let's see those hands. Wonderful, wonderful. Here's a test to see if you have any forgiveness work left to do at all. Do you still have a body? Pretty good giveaway right there. Forgiveness does so many things for us. It cleans house. Because if you don't feel worthy to receive, your good will come right up to your door, knock on the door, and you'll find some reason not to accept it because we don't feel worthy. And so one of the tools that helps us feel worthy is to forgive ourselves and other people. And we come to this by incredibly logical reasoning. For example, how many of you had parents? Please hear me. Your parents chose you, and you chose your parents. Some of them were probably absolutely wonderful, and some of them didn't do so good. The truth is, your parents gave you all the love they were capable of giving you, coming from their background and their experience. And I know some of it was shameful. I know some of it included abuse and belittling and unkindness and abandonment. I know that that's been the life experience of many, many people. And yet, remember now, you chose them. So why did you choose them? Well, imagine, for example, that you're pre-born. It's before your birth, and you're looking down at the University of Earth. And you're setting up your curriculum for this lifetime. And you know what it is you want to accomplish at this level of prior to being birthed into a body. And so you decide, okay, at the end of this particular lifetime, I want to have achieved this for myself and my soul. So you set up, okay, this is an experience that would help me here, and this one, and marry this man or this woman, it would be good, and do this, and then like that all the way through. You set it all up. You are not guilty. Nobody's guilty. You did the best you knew how to do every step of the way. And so did everyone else. You know, all those exes. You have exes? Anybody have exes besides me? And they all, nearly all mine live in Texas, too. I have to really pray before I come here. But you know what? I wouldn't have missed a single one of them. Do you know what I'm saying? Because every one of them gave me great gifts in terms of understanding and learning about myself and learning really to let go of blame and resentment and to quit singing that somebody done somebody wrong song here. Understand? Folks, I'm going to tell you a high truth, and I know you already know it. Nobody is guilty. I don't care what they've done. Coming from their background and their experience, they did the best they knew how to do. And the same is true of you. This afternoon, we'll talk more about that, get questions answered, and offer you some few forgiveness techniques and have a little forgiveness experience together. It's a powerful process. So very quickly now, spiritual law number 3. We're required to set clear-cut, tangible goals. What do you want? What exactly do you want? The master teacher said, ask and ye shall receive. He did not say, make me guess. Some people treat God like they treat J.C. Penney's or Sears or Neiman Marcus, and they call him up and say, hey, would y'all just send me something you think I'd like? Well, they'd go nuts. You know, when you order from Neiman Marcus or J.C. Penney's, you have to tell them the size, the color, the fabric, the number, all sorts of specific details. And yet we dare to go to God with this airy-fairy prayer, and what we get back is airy-fairy results. You know that? Yep. So in the goal-setting process, I urge people to be specific. Catherine Ponder, who's been my mentor for 30 years, she says, the more specific you are, the quicker you will have your demonstration. One woman did this. She was so funny. She'd been to a workshop, and she heard me talk about being specific, but she said on the phone, Edwene, I did it wrong. I was at the workshop, and I just couldn't wait. And I wrote down on my goal sheet, I want more love in my life. And she said, I got home from the workshop, and my neighbor brought me over a pregnant dog. I'm pretty sure that's not what she had in mind. So more love in our lives could look like my neighbors bringing us over some banana bread, a call from our mom or dad. It could look like a million kinds of things. But she didn't want any of that. What did she want? She wanted a lover. Do you hear that? So be specific and make sure when you set your goals that they're your goals, not your mama's goals for you or your spouse's or your kids, your goals. And tell yourself the truth about what you want. You know, let's say you're in a dull and boring job and you want an exciting job. Be specific about that job. You want it indoors or outdoors, with people, alone, using your hands or using more of your mind, whatever it might be. Be specific about the salary you want, the benefits you want, everything. The more specific you are, the quicker it will show up. And I'll show you how I have a goal-setting sheet that we work with this afternoon to really get down to what it is. Because here's what I know. Charles Fillmore writes in his book, Prosperity, that desire is the onward movement of God in you, showing you what it is that your soul wants. So when you follow your desires, you're moving toward the divine plan for your life. It's not a trickster God. I don't believe in a trickster God that would say, hey, here's something nice. No, you can't have it. I don't believe in that kind of a God. I believe that anything that you can think of that you want means that that is a coming attraction. And all you have to do is align yourself with the laws. You have to tithe, forgive, set your goals. And spiritual law number 4, we're going to save to this afternoon. I'll tell you what it is, but we go in depth for this. You have to seek and find your divine purpose. What are you here for? What is your mission? What is that great work that is uniquely yours? I think one of the songs this morning had the reference to the notes that it just takes one person to change the world. You know, think where we might be without Rosa Parks or Nelson Mandela, or any of those great souls who stood in their own integrity and did whatever it took to bring forth their mission on planet Earth. You are that person, and you have a mission, and I believe in you. So just take a deep breath now, and I'm going to ask you to do a breath exercise very quickly, and I'll close. And that is focus on your heart space. And begin to breathe in and out through your heart. Breathing in love and breathing it out. Breathing in love and breathing it out. Breathing in love and breathing it out. And I'll close this morning with this quote from a gentleman by the name of Patrick Overton. This I know you've probably heard many times, but it feeds my soul. Mr. Overton writes, when you have come to the edge of all the light that you know, and you're about to step off into the darkness of the unknown, faith is knowing that one of two things will happen. There will be something solid to stand on, or you'll be taught how to fly.
Feel your heart beat. Feel the air coming in through your nostrils, moving down into your system and filling your lungs. Feel that air going from your lungs, fully nurtured, into your heart, bringing all those nutrients into your life, into your being. Realize that this idea that is air is the very essence that is God. This is the essence of life that is flowing through you, in you, and as you in this and every moment. So open your mind, open your heart, and receive this. Allow yourself to be the individualization of God. The soul is but a point in consciousness where the infinite has created its unique self to experience and to express itself. And you are that. And it is in that consciousness, it is in that place that we live, we breathe, and we have this life. We have this life now. We claim it. We know it. We accept it. But most of all, we give thanks for it. It is in gratitude that we know that it is done. And in that consciousness, we affirm it saying, and so it is. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.